From dancing to swimming. Ava Georgia Olsen was a typical 9-year-old girl, full of energy.
And my name is Ava.
And full of spirit.
Ava was full of life. She had a huge personality, always smiling, and she always had a lot of friends, and people just loved being around her.
Touchdown!
She was a perfect, healthy little girl. Hit all of her developmental goals. Everything was on track to be really quite a perfect childhood.
Please give me a good gift.
But on November 3rd, 2016,
No.
Ava's picture-perfect childhood was shattered.
I got a phone call from the nurse, so I picked her up and rushed her straight to the emergency room. And within 15-20 minutes of being in there, they did a CAT scan and they told us that she had brain cancer. Never would have I thought that it was DIPG.
Infusion, every surgery she went through. I'm a physician by profession. From my training and knowing what we'd experienced, I knew it wasn't good.
Every year, nearly 300 kids in the U.S. are diagnosed with Diffuse Instintric Pontine Glioma, or DIPG.
Here's a picture board from Ava's funeral,
And for these children and their families, their fate
personality and beautiful smile and
is devastating.
The outcomes of DIPG are horrendous. Less than 1% of these children live longer than 3 years. We were told and go home and make memories.
Where's mine? Wait, what?
While making memories slowed the emotional suffering, Ava became physically unable to keep up.
Hey, Chicago, what they say, cousin.
she slowly lost control of her right hand. Then she lost her speech, and then she was unable to swallow. It was very scary, but I had to take care of her and be her mom. So. This is where I go when I'm really sad, and I need to feel closer to her.
For most kids, the pain would be unbearable. But for Ava, she was a warrior.
Ava faced it with incredible bravery. She never complained, she never cried. Her mission was to use this disease to connect people.
And even in her last days,
That breaks my heart.
she kept her fight.
Oh my God.
I promised Ava, as she was literally sitting here in the last week of her life, that her struggles would not go in vain and that we would commit to go help other children and to find better treatment options.
When she was just a few weeks old. When Ava was diagnosed, we didn't have a plan. No, they didn't tell us this is what you need to do because DIPG is so rare.
The good times rolling.
We had to do everything on our own. We had to research. We had to do all this while caring for her.
But this family of warriors did not let Ava's passing stop their fight.
It's been unreported or undiagnosed. It is taking something so outrageously painful and really finding the strength to go, how do we make good of this? And that good has to be for other families first, and then it has to be to change how we're treating this disease. The last 2 days, she was...
And these changes are necessary due to the low amount of funding that goes into children's cancer research.
Buffalo Grove, 2016.
Childhood brain tumors receive about 4% of the national funding for cancer, and DIPG receives 1% of that. So all the meaningful work and research is being done by families and foundations much like ours.
The Ava Warriors Foundation has a plan to help take down DIPG.
The foundation is really going to help with kids and help them maybe even keep their lives after once we get advanced into this.
He gave it to her, she said.
We want to help other families that are in this situation so they kind of know what is out there and they're not in the darkness like we were. Quilt that her class made her.
Though the foundation has big plans, the amount of work ahead of them is not underestimated.
We have a lot of work to do, for sure. Starting a foundation of this nature and transitioning from the loss and the grief and moving that forward, we have a lot of work to do, a lot of work, because this is a huge problem.
She got the job of you.
Ava Georgia Olsen's memory will live on through the dedication to the Ava Warriors Foundation.
Support of Ava Georgia Olsen and the Ava Warriors mission.